What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Hot Takes. This time we are live. Well, some of you are live currently on Discord. Others of you, probably the majority of you, are listening to this on Spotify or Apple Podcast. But welcome back to Hot Takes. We are excited to be back. I know we skipped a month, but we are back for the month of April, and we'll be back continuing on. Just a reminder of how this podcast works before I introduce the hosts. Actually, you know what? I changed my mind. Let's introduce the hosts first because they are what makes this podcast really special, and I see them smirking at me. We're going to start off with myself. My name is Matt. I am one of the fantastic hosts. I know I just called myself fantastic, but that lines up. In addition to me being fantastic, we also have Chi-Town Paul, Chicago Fire's favorite Scotsman. How are you, Paul?
I'm a Fire fan, so I'm okay.
He's a
Nothing
Fire fan.
more.
Okay. But outside of being a Fire fan, like, you doing okay? Is like life good? You chilling?
Yeah. The sun's been out. Summer's here in Chicago, which is the best time to be here. And I'm
Agreed.
in a small room podcasting for you guys. Let's go.
Always the best to have you, Paul. We love you and your energy. And in addition to this wonderful Scotsman Ranger supporting creature, we have our wonderful producer, John, aka Quadruple Four on Twitter or whatever it is. Johnny, how you doing? John, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm not so lucky as other people who had hot dog tweets go viral this week, but I still feel pretty all right.
Who had hot dog tweets go viral? What am I missing?
Paul did.
Me, I posted a tweet about a fantastic hot dog I got at Lincoln Park Zoo this weekend.
Oh,
And
I did see that. The
it
mustard, the
got,
mustard.
yeah, it got like
Yeah.
15,000 likes or something like that.
Colin's
Collins
Wow,
already
posted it in the chat.
in the
Colin's
chat.
already posted in chat. That's incredible.
Yeah,
That's the speed that I
like,
know from Colin.
subscribe, and everything.
Yeah.
It was a
And in
fantastic hot
addition,
dog.
good. I'm glad to hear that. In addition to John and Hot Dog Man, as I'm now calling Paul because of that tweet, we have special guest and infamously known in the fire community for being loud and fun. That is my best friend, Eray. Eray, how you doing today?
That was the nicest thing you've ever said to me, Matt. I'm really shocked. Um, I'm doing all right, man. I'm going to Boston this weekend, which is ironic because the Fire play against New England, and I'll be in Boston, even though they're going to be in Chicago.
Heck yeah, man. Well, hopefully you being in Boston brings the bad luck with you, so the good luck stays in Chicago or something like
Well,
that.
Fire 2 are playing in Boston, so I don't want to wish any bad
Ah,
luck on them. But,
yeah,
sister's
good point. Good
graduating
point.
from college, so got to do what you got to do.
Well, mazel tov to your sister from all of us here at Men in Red, and I'm sure all of the people in chat as well. An incredible accomplishment, regardless of if it's middle school, high school, or college. Guys, welcome back to Hot Takes. It's so great to have this group on. Joe was supposed to be on the call, but he had a last minute work emergency, so had to go handle his business and pay the bills. Let's get down to the premise real quick. What is Hot Takes? Hot Takes is a podcast designed to interact with our community. You submit your own takes. You could come on live on the show and submit your own take to all of us.
Oh, you know what? We just dropped Matt's audio there. So just to round that out while he gets it sorted out, like he was saying, Hot Takes is essentially a community-based show, so it gives you guys the opportunity to throw some info at us, hear back from us, and we can either tell you, hey, you're really smart, or you're really stupid. Matt, does that sound okay?
That sounds fantastic. Thanks for that, John. Not sure why that happened. I love technology. That's why we pay Orion and John the big bucks to help me figure all of this stuff out. Our release schedule for these episodes is as follows. We will tape one on the second Tuesday of every month for release on the second Thursday of every month. And we will go live on Discord or YouTube to be determined what other platforms we're going to use in the future are the last Tuesday of every month, and they'll come out on Spotify and Apple and Google and all of that jazz on the last Thursday of every month. But in this case, it will be the first Thursday.
It's a good thing I'm here to fill Matt's void.
Yeah, apologies for the technical glitches, guys. New setups kind of lead us to a bad spot, unfortunately.
Yeah, you probably noticed that I sound a lot better than I normally do, and that's because of a new setup. But we're still working the kinks out, so bear with us. Let's just get to the point. You know what? Maybe all of this talk about scheduling is just makes my mic really unhappy. Real quick before we get into the takes, which is what everyone's here for, we want to recap the game against Atlanta this past Saturday. 0-0 tie. Honestly, a pretty dull match, but we want to go through some meta of the match and, of course, flop of the match as we do on the Hot Takes channel, along with biggest takeaway. Let's start off with man of the match and start with Eray. Who's your man of the match?
No brainer, Chris Brady. He's the only reason we walked away with the point.
Damn. All right, we're 0 for 3. Absolute W on that. All right, Matt, we may have to switch to a temporary solution. Paul, who's your man of the match?
Yeah, I usually try and throw in a curveball, but Brady was the only player to actually do anything of note in this game. It's hard to look past him. He was just incredible. Remains to be incredible every week, and he's going to be the big guy for this team this year.
Yeah, no question. I mean, we're all in agreement. I almost left it off the outline because it was like, who else is anybody going to say other than Chris Brady? Matt, do you have somebody different?
Yeah, so I switched to my old mic because I know that one's old reliable, and I am going to pick a different person solely to piss people off. And if you don't know who I'm going to pick, you don't know me that well, and I'm going with Andrew freaking Gutman. Season debut, coming off a nasty injury. Bro, star of the show. I would argue he was our best attacker, and he was a defender. Shout out to Brady, bro, dog. I just want to be different. And give me Andrew Gutman. Thank you, Radio Maverick. 24 agrees with me. Thank you.
Can I get L's in the chat?
Love
Because
using
that
the
was
chat.
not Andrew Gutman's season debut.
Yes, it was. Let's
Thank you,
be real.
Eray.
He was on for what, 4 minutes? 4 minutes before he got injured
That's
against
not how
Philly?
debuts work, Matt.
Yeah, whatever. You don't
Yeah,
understand.
Gutman was very good.
I literally tried to give us a
Thank
whole
you.
segment about Gutman to make Matt feel better, and he still found a way to bring him up too early.
Of course. Go Hoosiers. Flop of the match. What are we thinking, John? What are we thinking for flop?
Can I say everybody? Is that allowed? Like, I don't know, man. I was thinking about this earlier, and like, obviously watching from the section, I feel like sometimes it's hard to get a super good feel for how everybody's playing, but like, Acosta wasn't great. Like, Fabi wasn't great. Mueller. Fuck it. No, Chris Mueller. Holy shit. How did I not think of that? He missed like 7 open shots. Yeah, Chris Mueller 100 times out of 100.
Oh, Chris Muller, huh? That's exactly not who I was going to say. Now I have to change my answer. Thanks, John. Paul, what are we thinking?
Flop of the match, Acosta. He's just not at the right ball game right now. I don't know what game he's trying to play. Like, he just kept making the wrong pass, and he would always manage to mess it up every time. It's not going well for him right now. Don't know if it's a team. In the chat, Riddle Maverick says he has to be hurt. I would agree with that. He may be playing through something. He's just not been very good recently, and this may be his worst performance yet.
Yeah, I think that's a very reasonable take there. But honestly, both of those are, and I'm curious to know if Eray feels any differently about any of those.
Yeah, I mean, I would have said Mueller, but everyone else said Mueller. So I think what I am going to say, if I were to pick somebody else, Fabi. I think Fabi was, with how strong of a start he had to the season, and like I feel like he was just non-existent. I can't even tell you a pass or anything he did that game, to be honest. Like, Mueller at least got, like, okay, I'll give Mueller a little bit of credit, benefit of the doubt. He got in the right spots. He should have finished a few chances, yes, but he was there. Fabi was nowhere.
That's also a great shout. I am going to go with Kellen Acosta. I was going to go with Muller before John said it, but then Tim brought up a good point in the chat. He said Muller was playing on his weak foot, which I think is an excellent point. He was playing on the right when normally he plays on the left. So that's something that I have to throw into the mix. I'm going with Kellen Acosta. This guy is supposed to calm down your midfield, make it more fluid, make it more functional. And in reality, last game, he misplaced a ton of passes and was largely subpar. So for that reason, I have to go with Kellen Acosta. And I see Silent Seabass says, now I say Acosta did not have a good game, lost every ball he had. Exactly. Great mind. Great mind. Great mind.
Hey,
Final one.
None of that would have
Oh, go
mattered
ahead,
if
John.
Chris Mueller had made those shots.
Yes, and I actually got nothing for that. You got me there. That's a good point. All in all, like you said, John, though, everyone kind of sucked. So we can agree on that one. Biggest takeaway. If there's any takeaways from a 0-0 tie, not a win. We did not win that game. We definitely didn't win that game. What would they be? I'll give you guys 10 seconds to think about it. Colin is sending gifts in the chat.
I have a takeaway.
Go ahead, Paul.
Knees are fragile.
It's a great
I
takeaway.
You didn't have to
I
say that.
I have I've got a bad knee. It's been hurting as well, and it can happen at any point. Just like what happened this weekend to Toby. Hope it heals quickly. It's going to be a rough one.
Eray, any takeaways?
Can you repeat your question? You gave me too long to answer.
You're good. What's your biggest takeaway from the group? Takeaway from the game? Anything?
We can't score goals. That is just like what 2 games in okay, like that's 2 games in a row where we're shut out. 3 games ago, did we score a goal? Remind me.
Probably not. Probably not.
No, because that was against the Red Bulls. No, we haven't scored a goal in 3 freaking games. What are we doing? The goal, the whole point of a soccer team is to score goals, man. Like you can't win unless you score a goal. Like you can win 1-0, you can win 2-0, you can win 3-0. You can't win 0-0. Like you can't just not score goals. That was my
What if
takeaway.
what if it goes to penalties?
This is the regular season, Paul. Shut up.
I'm just being a contrarian.
This rant reminds me of Taylor Twellman after the U.S. got eliminated from the World Cup back in 2018. That's the vibes I just got from Eray. But I feel it. That's honestly a perfectly reasonable takeaway, all things considered. John, what are you thinking?
Matt, you go, because mine leads us into the next topic.
Okay, I got 2 biggest takeaways. One is that our game plan for Hugo sucks. There really is no game plan to actually make him an effective goal scorer, or for that matter, effective anything. I see a lot of criticism on Kuipers on Twitter and Instagram saying that he only has 2 goals in 7, 8 games, whatever, and I don't think that's his fault. This is a takeaway that we've been experiencing the last 6, 7 weeks. It's not his fault. It sucks to see how we've set him up to fail so far. My second biggest takeaway is Kutsia should get more game time. And that may be like a lukewarm take for some, but I think the energy that he brings in attack is good. Yes, he hit the crossbar. Yes, he probably could have scored, probably should have scored. But he produced more attack than I've actually seen all season from a lot of players. So I was very happy with his performance, at least his first start of the season. I believe that was his first start of the season. Correct me if I'm wrong.
It was. Cool. Excellent.
Nailed it.
Before I get
Nailed
mine,
it.
I am going to, unbeknownst to the rest of the group, esteemed Men in Red 97 contributor Tim is going to come in and join us because he's here today. And Tim's a fun guy, and I think we'd all appreciate a little more fun. Tim, hello. Welcome. I want to hear your biggest takeaway from the Atlanta United match.
Yeah, not scoring sucks. Like Eray was completely right about that. Like you need to score goals. The Flyers have not done it in 282 minutes of competitive play, or 182 minutes of competitive play. They've scored 1 goal in open play in 5 matches. Like that is ridiculous when you look at the talent on this roster. Like whatever else is going on. I mean, and they were up for 50 minutes. They were up a man for 50 minutes against the Red Bulls, and there's still 1 goal in open play in the past 5 matches. Like you can't, you got to do better. And Brady stood on his head, which is, great for him. Even if the referee didn't seem to think that phenomenal save that is like on the highlight reels around MLS was a save, because it became it was afterwards given as being a goal kick, not like a corner kick. So it didn't count as a save technically, which is just strange. But yeah, like if it wasn't for him, it would have been another loss. Thiago Amato was like cutting through lines like butter. And he's in a slump too. It's not like he's like on his game. You know what I mean? Like the team didn't do terribly defensively at every single point, but they really could have done a lot better at a lot of it. And it was a lucky result more than it was a good result. Like there's times that a 0-0 feels good. This was not like this. Like really could have gone another way if it wasn't for Brady. Really, like after the match, you said he was doing it for Zach on his induction as like his goalkeeper coach, and like thank God for that, because
I mean, to be honest, if we had scored a goal, that would have been a great game. But that's literally all we had to do. Like the defense was lights out. They cut down Almada. Yes, Andrew Gutman was very good. He's better than Suke, I'll say that. But
really? Okay, that's fine. I'll take it actually.
Fullbacks, man, they're both fullbacks. He's better than Suke.
Yeah.
But
that
yeah,
take
I mean,
is
like
ice cold.
I'm just saying,
fellas,
if Kutsias,
No, I'm sorry. We are 20 minutes in and we're still in the intro. We're moving on. My biggest takeaway from the game was that having an actual competent defensive presence at the 6 led to us closing down what is, while an underperforming offense, a very good offense. Which brings us into our first question of the day, guys.
Stupid take. Why can't we just talk about Suke versus Gutman for the next 20 minutes? John?
Shut the fuck up. That's why. All right, so we're starting. We're starting with new faces in a new formation. This is the first time we've seen the Fire break out of either a 4-2-3-1 or that weird back five that Frank seems to love. We were in a 4-4-2 on Saturday. So obviously we've heard a little bit from Matt about Gutman already. But the one we're going to start with is Mauri at the 6. I would like everyone here, except maybe Tim, because he's never been on the show before, to apologize to me for saying Mauri at the 6 was a bad idea. Because all of a sudden, Mauricio Pineda, for those of you who played FM, is playing a libero role, floating between midfield and the defense, and we didn't let up a goal. So, fellas, the question I have here is kind of seeing the way that was able to impact defensively. Do we have any thoughts on summer window? Should this change the prioritization of, like, there's been a lot of talk of youth DP on the winger, for a YDP winger, sorry guys, or potentially beefing up the midfield with kind of like another 8 to go alongside Acosta? Do we maybe transition that to more of a focus on the 6? Matt, you're raising your hand. You can start.
I want to start off by saying that I will not apologize to you because I don't criticize Mauricio Pineda. In fact, I love Mauricio Pineda, and behind Andrew Gutman, he is my favorite Chicago Fire player, and I'm glad to see him succeeding at the 6. I think that's really, really good. That being said, and here's my take on Mauricio Pineda. If Mauricio Pineda is your starting 6, you are not going to succeed in MLS. I think this is a guy that's, for the most part, relatively hit his ceiling. He's a serviceable CDM. He's a serviceable center back. But if he's what you're putting on a game-to-game basis, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, you're not going to be incredibly successful. Therefore, I think the summer, when either Fetty or Gaston inevitably end up leaving, I do think that becomes a point of importance, and you got to bring in someone who's going to start with Pineda spot starting and coming off the bench in a bunch of different defensive scenarios. But John, I'm glad you got a take right. I'm really happy for you on that front. I promise.
Thank you. Eray, what do you think?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry I doubted you, John. I think no, he was lights out. He commanded the midfield, in my opinion, defensive mid, and the shutout speaks for itself, I think.
Yeah. Timothy, any thoughts? You weren't one who criticized me, but maybe in the group.
And I wouldn't have done that because if you ever watched him playing for the US U23 setup, like, he only did it for a couple of games, but he was in that role and he was playing long balls really well, like making connections to wingers. Like, he was able to stretch the field vertically pretty quickly. Like, it wasn't surprising. And like, he led the team in minutes for I think 2021 under Wiki, before really falling out of favor under Ezra. Like, that I don't think is his fault. And I think that in a way, Matt, you're right. Like, there isn't an MLS Cup winning team that has Mauri as a starting player, but like, that's true of like 8 or 9 guys on the starting 11 on the Fire roster, like, at least. And if you're trying to chip away at things and change things, like, there's a lot of like areas of greater need than that.
Yeah, Paul.
True. Thank you, Tim, for validating me, by the way. That makes me feel happy.
Yeah,
but
very nice of you, Tim.
I'm sorry, Paul, before you go, the question was never, is Mauricio Pineda the best 6 in MLS? The question was, is he the best 6 we have available to us? And you are on record saying Fede and Gaston were better options. So that's what the issue is.
Yes, I just want to put that out there that I still hold by that take.
That's a bad take, objectively.
So
It's
here's
a
the
bad
thing.
take, Matt.
Here's the other thing. Like, Gaston, right, once again is taking up a ton of salary cap space. Fetty is occupying a U22 slot. Mauricio Pineda is either still in a homegrown slot or he's about to graduate from that and is still making like $200K a year, so he's very cap friendly. So in a cap league, you need players that outperform their contracts. Like, that's just how you build a winning team. And neither Gaston or Fetty are doing that. They're doing the opposite of that. So to have a guy that provides good value for his his wages and his cap hit is really significant.
Oh, like Jonathan Dean.
That is 100%
like
reasonable, Tim.
Yeah.
I appreciate you using facts to back up your statement instead of trying to get me to apologize. Okay,
No,
that's
no, this
valid.
podcast is about emotions, not facts. Tim, go away.
Paul, do you have any thoughts on Mauricio Pineda or anybody you would like to see us bring in at the 6 in the summer?
Can we just get Matt to apologize to both Mauricio Pinedas, both the Mauricio Pineda on the roster as well as the Mauricio Pineda, the prominent barn burner supporter, for his anti-Mauricio Pineda agenda?
Guys, I
Guys,
love Mauricio.
Paul's
Pineda.
been
Come
waiting
on.
to talk. All right, let Paul go.
I'm just gonna go by. Now, I want to start off, John, by seriously apologizing
Simp.
for fucking nothing. I stand by what I said. Just because he's doing well at the 6 doesn't mean he's a good 6. He will.
It was if he's our
Well, well,
best.
no, he's playing
What is the
possession.
definition of a good
He's not
6?
playing- It's not playing in his role. So eventually, like, just fitting in there is fine for a couple of games, but down the line, we need to play to his strengths, not the team's weaknesses. Play him in his position.
But
Sort your issues out.
it'll in a
It's not a
system with
fix.
2 attacking fullbacks, it makes sense to have a 6 who can play in defense. We're moving on because we're never going to agree on this. I stand by it a million
Dubs in
percent.
chat.
And you're
Dubs
right,
in
John.
chat.
You're right. I'm standing with you.
Thanks for the dubs,
You've got an
guys.
ally.
Yeah, Tim
Tim-
knows more ball than all
Tim-
of us. So
Tim,
except
you are
Paul, because Paul's from
Pissing me
Europe.
off.
Oh, sorry, man. I
No,
just
technically.
Tim is.
I just like speaking the truth.
All right.
God
Thank you,
bless
Tim.
Celtic football. Club. God bless. Celtic
So
football
the
club.
next thought here, we did see a lot of new faces in the formation, right? Like I mentioned before, Koutsios made his first start. Mauricio Pineda finally featured again. Obviously, we've seen some disappointing play on the wings. Marin has still been hurt. Shaqiri's still out. Gutierrez is finally kind of back. He played like 15 minutes. So the follow up here with the injury to Tobias, or I guess subpar play on the wings. Who do you guys think is the next?
Toby. He goes by Toby.
Okay.
John.
Who do you think is the next player to feature? Not an incoming transfer, but the next underrepresented player. Paul, I know who you're going to say, but you can still go first.
John, do you want to say it with me? 1, 2, 3.
Omar
Glasgow. There we go. He is so many levels above everybody else in that Fire 2 team. You can just see it when you watch him. He needs to get given that step up and take his chance. I saw him after the Fire 2 game against Indy 11. He was great in that game. Unfortunately, didn't get the goal. But after the game, he was so frustrated. He knows he can do better and be better. I think we've got such a great player there. And that goal this weekend, you guys saw it. Palazzo.
Yeah, he's in the business of Golazzos. Tim, what do you think?
I'm not going to dispute. Like I love Omari Glasgow. I think it's pronounced Glasgow. I don't think it's pronounced like the city in Scotland exactly. Is my understanding. But
I'm not going to say it any
his-
other way, Tim. I'm not going to say it any other way.
you need to tell him to his face. You're saying your name wrong.
Yep.
See how that goes over. But I also love you, and I think you should be on the first team. No, like he deserves a call up, I think, at some point. But he's not the only guy that is I think has been playing well and should get a look. Like Harold Osorio, I think in the midfield has been a really strong player for them. Now, I mean, like physically he's small. That's also an issue with Amari. David Pareba, I think, has been playing really well for the Fire too. Like those are all guys that I think should be, under consideration for things. But like it just becomes like a lot of these guys, it's like they're technically men, but like they don't look like it yet, and so that becomes an issue, especially with some of these positions where it's like it's a physical league, and like if you're like 5'8" and 130 pounds soaking wet, like are you really going to be pushing guys around as a midfielder kind of thing?
I'd like to
I'm
call
going
out.
to go with.
Oh, go ahead, Matt. Go ahead.
I was just going to go because I wanted to bounce off what Tim said, and it would have been very organic and natural. I like a lot of what Tim said. I am totally on this Amari train. I love it. But I will say that equally intrigued by our winger on the other side, Kofi. Excuse me if I mispronounce it. That dude's got some pace on him. He's fast. He is speedy. I could see him succeeding once he gets his feet a little more grounded. That being said, the guy that I'm definitively highest on, even more than Mauri, like Tim said, is David Pareba. I mean, I think I said this on the last MIR pod, or it might have been on the last Hot Takes. I honestly don't remember. This is a guy whose spot started in Poland. I'm not even gonna try to pronounce their first division league, but their first division league, um, the one that begins with an E. He's really talented, and he had like 3 goals in the first 3 matches of the season in a completely new country. And I should rephrase, not a completely new country. He's been in Chicago
He's
before.
from Lake
But
Zurich. Yeah, he's from Lake Zurich, so yeah.
a completely new league, a completely new league. And he's been really, really fun to watch, and I think he's one to watch for the future as well. But I think this is a good problem that we don't have a definitive answer. I mean, of course, Amari is obvious, but the fact that there are other people in the mix is really, really good. I'm really happy with where our second team's at, and they just keep winning games too. So they're pretty nasty, pretty nasty. Go ahead, Eray.
Well, I was just about to say, I was going to Acon 1985 in the chat. He said Amari needed to hit the gym. Guti's in our starting 11. Why are you not telling him to hit the gym? Where's the
Brian Gutierrez hasn't been in the starting 11 in like 6 weeks.
Okay, it's been like 2 weeks, John, but you know, and for
He just step up 3 years ago.
is he on gym duty? Is that what you're saying? Is that why he's not in the starting 11?
I'm saying
I think
he's
that's
like not that good, but that's fine.
I disagree. I think Guti is. I think that Amari could be just as good as Guti if he's given the chance. So
That's crazy.
Low
That's
bar.
so crazy. But
I
real
mean,
quick,
honestly, I don't think that he's at that level because when you look at what he does, like he's
not yet. That's not what I said. I didn't say now. I said he could be.
he has this high ceiling, and I mean, a lot of players on that team have a high ceiling. Like the team, like this hasn't been publicly discussed that much, but like they are not holding back in a league with no salary cap. Like they are spending transfer money to fill the Fire 2 roster on guys they think have a high ceiling. But like that doesn't necessarily mean they're ready for MLS right now. Like you look at a lot of like Amari specifically, like he takes an extra touch way too many times. An MLS level like back line would close that space down before he has time to take that touch, and he would get dispossessed of the ball instantly.
All right, let's see it happen then.
Paul.
I want to see
Sure,
it.
no, I'm for like I'm not against I'm not against that idea. I'm just saying like I'm just saying like it's like let's not pretend that like performing at a lower level necessarily translates. He's still got a high ceiling. He still needs to learn, and I don't know, like I don't know if he's hit the ceiling of MLS Next Pro yet. I think is close to that, so that means that he should be getting call ups. I don't know that he's there.
See, I think like I agree he does take the extra touch too much, but why I want him to step up is because we've nobody in the first team getting into positions that he has been getting into for the Fire 2. So
100%
as much as like for me it's just like, give him the chance. Everybody's got to step up and make the mistakes at some point. Like, you've got to make the mistakes to get them out of your system when you're young. Not everybody is like Messi stepping out of the academy.
Well, and like what are we risking really? Like are the Fire going to be scoring fewer goals than they've scored? Because
exactly, yeah. He's a new player in a new position that's not necessarily been scouted by the other team, so it's a little bit different. Players might not be ready for his pace. He's not strong, but if he can get a few yards on his man, who's not quite expecting him, cut inside and just get a finish like he got at the weekend, it could be valuable for this season.
Yeah. Look, honestly, guys, I see a lot of chat about, Amari needs to step up. He needs to be stronger. Paul, to your point, yeah, just get him in there. Tim, be careful. There are such things as own goals. I would count those as negatives, so we can score less. Yeah, I looked it up. Lionel Messi is 5'7", 150 pounds. If you have good core strength, good balance, and control the ball, you can do a lot in the world. I'm not saying I'm talking shit. Anyway,
short lives matter.
All right, Matt. Just because you're 5'6" doesn't mean the rest of us have to care.
5'10". We're like the same height, bro. What the heck?
That's kind of difference.
All right, and last thing, and guys, please go ahead and get your hands up. We're gonna do one more quick hitter about our Lord and Savior Chris Brady, and then we will start letting people in to get some takes off. So please throw your hands up, leave them up. We will add you in as we go along. Matthew, I'll start with you on this one. Basically, what the note I wrote here. on the day the Fire celebrated one of their greatest keepers, Zach Thornton. Shout out Zach Thornton. Really awesome last name. A flurry of high-level saves ultimately won a point for the Fire against Atlanta at home. So, guys, where does Chris Brady rank in the pantheon of Chicago Fire goalkeepers? And don't give me any of that, well, he didn't win anything. Like, I'm talking purely in terms of his skill. Okay? Matt, you start on this.
Yeah, I also just want to say that on the record for the past year, honestly, since we started making podcasts in any format on MIO 97, I have been saying that I think and I thought that Brady would be a better goalkeeper than Slonina. Right now, I have him third best overall in the history of our club behind Zach Thornton and Sean Johnson, the milkman. And then Gaga would probably be four. That being said, at this rate, it's going to be a really competitive battlefield in the next 10 years because we just keep producing goalkeepers. You know, Los is going to be good, even though Joe doesn't think he's good, which is mind blowing to me considering he's trash talking a 16-year-old, 17-year-old kid. And, you know, I'm sure there's other kids in the academy that are going to move up there. And Jorge Bava is not in my top five, unfortunately. But I'm going Chris Brady third with the potential, depending on how long he stays at the Fire, to overtake Sean Johnson. But similarly to Sean Johnson, I don't think, did Sean Johnson ever make a playoff with the, no, he didn't.
I think that.
So
What was the one
he
thing
did?
I said? What was the one thing I said?
I didn't
Other
listen.
than
I was
having one
fighting.
thing.
I was
You're
fighting
putting
with
all
someone
these
in
artificial
chat.
constraints on things.
I put
man.
one artificial constraint. I just said don't talk about.
What was your constraint?
I didn't. I
But
said
he
just
never.
Don't say, oh, he didn't win anything.
Other-
It's not his fault. He didn't win anything.
But
Okay.
neither. Yeah, but neither did Milkman. So, you know.
Oh, that was the constraint. Okay, well, since Sean Johnson didn't make the playoffs, if Brady makes the playoffs, all of a sudden he'll be a better all-time number two on the chat on the all-time list of Fire. John's rolling his eyes and
Okay.
is very upset.
Tim,
right
Tim,
now.
you go.
I mean, I think that he's definitely in the top five, and like he was always considered the better shot stopper by like the Fire like Academy Brain Trust. The issue has been his ability to like control what's going on in the box around him, and his play with the ball that has been holding him back. I think he's gotten a lot better about his control of the box in this season, and I think we saw a lot of that against Atlanta. So like there's no reason that he can't be like frankly the best goalkeeper that the Fire have produced. And in terms of like Fire goalkeepers in history, I mean, yeah, like I still think Zach Thornton has to be number one, just because of what he was able to do, and especially like the support that he had. Like Zach Thornton didn't have a Zach Thornton as a goalkeeper coach, you know, like the league wasn't set up like that back then. So the fact that he was able to do that, I think is just incredible. But Brady's ceiling, I think, is absolutely sky high. And I mean, if he just starts having another couple of performances like what we saw and does some of that stuff, controlling stuff in the box, like he could eclipse, you know, Gaga Slonina in terms of like the sale value that he gets when he leaves.
That's a big number.
Yeah.
Paul, you go. Sorry, I like wasn't ready for Tim to end with that. It threw me off.
That was kind of deep there. I'm going to go for a curveball. The goalkeeper from when I first moved to this great city, Bobby Shutout. Bobby Shuttleworth.
Crazy. You're crazy, man.
I'm going with it. He's the king.
Okay, Eray.
Sorry,
He's about to
I'm
cook right here.
slandering
Just put
with
that out there. He's about to cook.
Wasn't the question?
Wait, I'm sorry. What?
You go, Eray.
I was slandering in the chat, or bantering in the chat. I don't know. Do you guys remember John Bush? That was my idol growing up.
He doesn't love Bush.
I'm really happy for you.
Yeah, dude. Right. Answer the question, man.
Repeat the question.
Where does okay? You know what? You don't get to go now, Eray. Look, guys.
Where does Chris Brady stand? No. I have an answer. I think he's going to be the all-time. I think he's going to be up there with Zach Thornton. Him and Brady are going to share the top of the list. I think. I mean, he's literally like Thornton's literally training him, and you see how that's going. It's going great. I mean, yeah, He's probably gonna overtake Thornton, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think there's
So
a.
while
I think
LeBray
so.
has threw out a great name in the chat, Dick Sanchez.
Oh my God.
Dude, don't sleep on
I-
Richard, man. Okay.
Look, I think there's a pretty actually Eray brings up a pretty good point. Like I think there's a very real chance that like 10 years from now we all look back and say like, yeah, is Zach Thornton in terms of what he did for the Chicago Fire the number one? Yes. But is Chris Brady the best single goalkeeper to ever come through the system? Like I think that's entirely possible. That's the way I would.
He's 100% better than Gaga.
Joe Tippmann would say, "Hey, Chris Brady's bad because he hasn't won anything." That's probably what Joe Tippmann would say.
Joe
He's
Tippmann
putting
would
that
start
out there.
slandering a 16-year-old.
Yep.
Joe Tippmann
Yeah,
is in the
he
chat
knows
and he
it.
said his number one entry was Mike McGee. So
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
All right.
Actually, W answer.
Look, Jiggly's been talking to me about getting in here all day, and so now that we are pretty much done here, let's just say very soon. This is, maybe I have sources, maybe I don't. Chris Brady could be at the biggest club in West London this time next year, guys. Yeah, you never know. We're gonna bring Jiggly in now to give a take that may be hot, it may be lukewarm, it may be something we're all thinking. Jiggly, how you doing?
It's definitely terrifying.
God is dead. God remains dead, and we have killed him. Yeah. I do want to first start off with saying that what John said about like with Brady being in West London, I don't really care too much about where specifically he goes, but this is kind of a part of what I wanted to say, which is that like we have some people here who need to leave for their own safety, for their own good, and like the list goes. Brady needs to leave for his own career. It's not working out here. He is getting pummeled. He's going to get broken physically by the time he gets a chance to leave. I think that he's done an amazing job, and I would like for him to get a chance to go elsewhere while the rest of the team figures themselves out. And at the same time, I think that Klopas needs to resign because they will not fire him. It's just not going to happen. He was sitting at the tail. I mean, I won't say it as like a definitive thing, but when Klopas was at the press conference, he's sitting there smiling, having fun, and like, I can understand that like it wasn't a bad game. It wasn't a bad game. The first half was pretty good. And then you have the and then it was his friend's Hall of Fame induction essentially. Like he can have a good time, but it feels weird how he does not seem to feel the pressure. It seems really weird and really off that he's not feeling any pressure with the results he's currently getting. And I think that he's not going to be fired at this point. I think that he needs to step down for his own good, for his own legacy. Because you look at when he was the interim coach for Wiki, he had the best winning record of any fire coach since Saracen, I think. Like he had the best record since like Saracen. And now I'm pretty dang sure he's well below that. So I think that it's just he needs to do this for his own good. I mean, everyone loves him still as a person, but like as a coach, he's just gone.
Yeah, Jiggly.
And
I think like to your point, and Matt, I'll throw it to you in a second here, and maybe one of the actual reporters in here or people who actually know people in the club can say something about this. But I have very much gotten the vibe that Frank Klopas is not actually like a true head coach. He is really just like caretaker until they find somebody better, but they didn't want to say he was caretaker manager. And that's purely off. There's no reason he should still have a job, right? Like as Tim has done extensive work on like, hey, like here are his points versus Ezra's points. Like here's how he's actually performing. So that's what I've gotten. I don't know, Matt, what do you think? Or yeah, whomever.
Listen, I know there's I can start off and I'll throw a bone to Tim or whoever else wants it to add on or not add on. I know there's already rumors on Twitter. Oh, Klopas won't get fired. Yeah, only if he steps down. I don't actually know the answer to that. I haven't heard jack shit for that matter. I agree with the theory that John's thinking about how he is just a pawn in this giant scheme to just hold out and wait for a bigger name. And that's probably why they're just going to ride with him the rest of the season. but I don't actually know what the hell's going on. This is like, it's just weird. In that sense, I agree with Jiggly. Like, doesn't seem like there's a lot of pressure, on Klopas to actually produce results, and it's kind of icky and weird. But I don't actually know what's going on. This is one fucking big enigma mystery thing. It's fascinating to watch because a club legend's reputation is severely deteriorating in front of our own eyes, and that's really disappointing to see. So, I mean, if Klopas steps down, great. If he doesn't, there's not much we can do about it right now, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It sucks.
So here's like the hot take, I guess. No, sorry, Paul, you go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, like, the head coach role in an organization is kind of to be the scapegoat and be the first to get the chop when things start going wrong. That's kind of assumed that it's not a safe job, and it kind of feels like there is no pressure on Klopas in that regard, because it's pretty much well known that like he's in the job because they couldn't get someone else. Like, so there's no pressure on him. Like, there's no like repercussions to it because there's no relegation either. I mean, we can get into that argument if you want to, but we don't have time. But just why would he feel pressure? And like, they're not using them for what you're supposed to use a head coach for. It's to put across the philosophy of the team to the players, get them playing that way, tell the organisation what players you want and what kind of style of players you want, and they'll get them in. But it just feels like they're not working together. The organisation getting players in, they don't know how to work with them. Well, he doesn't know how to work with them, and they're just okay with it because they have our money already, I guess.
I don't think that it's a really. I mean, I think there's roster construction issues on this roster more than anything else. I agree that like he's not feeling pressure. I mean, which isn't to say that he doesn't care. Like I was in the small press conference room with him after the loss to Real Salt Lake, and I mean, it was physically uncomfortable being in the room with him because of how upset he felt. So he cares. But at the same time, after Atlanta, like he was happy as a clam. Like he like I don't know how hot his seat is or is not. I just know that he thought his seat was like cold, like chilled, like that thing had ventilation like a high-end car where like he like turned the temperature down and it was set to like 55 degrees and his buns were chilling on that seat based on the way that he's been acting. Now, I mean, at the same time, I think that like we've been dancing around this and you like the issue is that you're right. Like everyone is waiting for something to change. It's like that's the way that this club feels right now. Like everyone is waiting for something to change. The problem is like there are people whose job it is to change things, and yet it just seems like everyone's like, oh well, Frank's the coach because like we'll wait to get a better coach. Like they don't magically appear. Like this is not like they're not wizard. Like they don't like apparate from something,
15 million a year and they'll magically appear, Tim. I promise you that, man.
Well, that's the crazy thing about
I don't know.
this,
They may have offered that already. They may have
that's the
offered
crazy
that
thing
already.
about this is that Heights hasn't really had a budget. I mean, like the team was giving out hints publicly or semi-publicly that they were more than willing to break the incoming MLS transfer fee record to bring in a player this year. So it wasn't like they weren't set on a number and they're like, this is our number and like that's how we got Hugo Kuipers. That's them like the best player they thought they could get without really having a budget for it. And I don't know if that extends to the coach. I suspect that it does. I think that Heights hasn't really wanted to hire a big name coach for a few reasons.
I did want to follow up that that take with also the main take, which is you guys kind of dismissed this in the last Hot Takes episode when I had said like I think the season is near over, not because of anything like oh it's terrible like we can never come back, but like you look at the performances, you look at the way that they play, you look at the style that they play, and I cannot see this team actually making the playoffs. They might somehow have like I think that they're gonna have a good month. They're gonna have a good month this month.
Jiggly, are you new
But
to
I
be a
don't
fan?
see them coming back.
Season's always over by May. This is not a Klopas
that's it.
specific thing.
No.
All right, Jiggly.
Yeah, but I do mean that like that is like the added
Jiggly.
like specification of just like unless he steps down and we get an actual coach in, I don't really see
Oh, come
anything
on.
changing.
Like
Okay,
that's
okay,
not
hold on.
the thing that actually matters here.
Can we let's
Yeah.
all Jiggly, thank you for being here. I'm gonna send you back to the audience so we can get some other people in because I've got more people raising their hands. Thank you for your. I will address that though. You're not gonna get off the hook. Thank you, Jiggly.
I will say I can't wait for Frank Klopas to make the playoffs, finish in the 5th seed, and
look.
come on Hot Takes Live in this Discord chat 6 months from now, and he's gonna be screaming, yelling at us. I can't wait for it.
I've got one thing to say. Okay.
Drug
I
test
just
me.
want to point
Drug
out.
test me.
I am so. You know what? We're allowed to swear here. I'm so fucking
Matt's,
tired.
Matt's high on life.
I am so fucking tired about hearing about the roster construction is bad. No, it's not. Okay, it's not.
It's the
that
coaching.
bad. It's not good. It's not good. Is it good enough to win MLS? No. Is it good enough to be top 4 in the Eastern Conference? No. Is it good enough to make the playoffs? Yes. And I'm tired of hearing it's not. You want better roster construction? Bench Rafael Chihos. He's not good anymore. Start Carlos Terran.
W.
He is objectively better. You want good roster
W.
construction? Bench Brian Gutierrez. Let him play 20 minutes a night.
W.
Bench Jordan Shaqiri. Let him play 20 minutes a night. Like, I'm tired of it.
W.
Like, use the
So
players
you're
you have
okay.
effectively.
Wait a sec. So like this is what I like bad roster construction. That is what that means.
Yeah.
That is
Okay.
exactly
Tim.
what that means.
Tim. Yes. I like. Okay. And I guess I should clarify, right? Like, I don't disagree that the roster isn't great. I am saying the problem here is not roster construction. It's roster utilization. The bigger problem is roster utilization. Like,
Not playing to their strengths.
But what you're saying, like what you just said, every single one of those things was bench players earning a lot of money, and sometimes you propose the solution like Carlos Terran for Rafa Chihos, which I don't think is a bad take. I think that Rafa.
I think it's a horrible
has had-
take.
But, well, okay. We'll get
You-
to that later. But honestly, like no, Chihos, it feels like he's fallen off a little bit of a cliff, and I don't know if he can climb back up. Like it sucks for him, and I think it sucks for the Fire. But every single player that you just listed, that was the only one you're like, put this guy in, take that guy out. So you take out Shaqiri,
Okay.
you take out Gutierrez.
Can I-
Who do you put in?
Can I give you
Yeah.
my 11, right? Because I actually love, we scrapped it because, we ran long on the intro. I like Kuipers and Kutsias up top. I like that. I like Kutsias' pace to play something into Kuipers to let him work behind the lines so that he's not the one pressing all the time. Okay? I don't hate Chris Mueller. I don't love him. I would much rather have Marin Haile Selassie. Marin Haile Selassie.
Martin Haile Selassie.
I don't know why I can't
There you
talk.
go. You got there. We got there.
Yeah. But like I actually, and I will say, I know I said bench Brian Gutierrez and Jared Shaqiri. I thought the best run of form we had last year was when we had Brian Gutierrez, Jared Shaqiri, and Marin Haile Selassie across the top with, I think at the time it was Casper, right? Because we were fucking bad at striker last year. What'd you say, Eray?
I said boo. EOO. Boo. Boo, Casper.
In
Boo.
reference to Casper, the friendly
we
ghost.
had this awesome mix of 3 guys who could all play effectively on the wing, or effectively enough, and also play in the center of the pitch. And they were able to weave in and out and invert on each other and also get the fullbacks involved, right? And it was that was that nice little like 5 games where we picked up like 12 points or something crazy like that leading into the Open Cup. But yeah, give me Fabian Herbers outside. Give me either Guti or Shaq at the 10 because we don't really have another option there. And start Mauri Pineda at the 6. Like, I'm tired of seeing Gaston Jimenez and Federico Navarro. They're bad. And Fabian Herbers does not play well paired in the midfield like that. Like, that's not where he should be. He's done his best there. But, like, what are we doing? Like, I'm just tired of seeing the same fucking thing over and over. Like, and I'm not going to pretend to know ball better than everyone here, but like, Jesus Christ, man, at a certain point, like, try something.
And John, to go back to your point about squad utilisation, that's why I refuse to apologise about Mauri at the 6. That's bad squad utilisation, as well as bad roster building.
That is not bad squad utilization because he's the best player to do that role. Like,
But you're not playing to his strengths. You're playing to the team's weaknesses.
No, how's that not play? Well, Matt had his hand up. I'm sorry. We should.
I was just gonna. I don't even remember what I was gonna say at this point anymore. Tim, go ahead. But I do really want to hear. I see Khan's got his
yeah, I'm
hand
sorry.
raised, and I know he has an important question. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Hey, Con, I'm gonna add you in right now, man. I apologize. I went on a whole fucking rant right after you added your hand.
Yeah,
in.
John got emotional. My goodness.
I'm
oh
fucking
my
tired
But
of it.
John, I think that you're right
Oh
about.
my God,
Like
here
I
we
think
go.
that you're right about this.
Oh, sorry.
Oh my God, I'm in. Guys, I don't have to set up than you do. I'm just here to cause chaos. I need to hear from Paul. What current Rangers player would send him into the least murderous rage if they joined the Chicago Fire? He has to pick someone, preferably in the current starting 11.
All right, I guess I've got to answer this one, haven't I? So I've actually just had to pull up their squad because the only ones I can name are the ones I
Because
hate.
he doesn't know the other
Well-
team in the league that he watches. Yeah.
Well-
I mean, the
Paul
sign
does
of a
that.
true hater. The only other team that matters in that league, and he can't even name a single player.
Well,
from
while
them.
Paul does
Hey,
that and makes his
You guys are
decision,
disrespecting Scotland so bad right now
yeah,
that I'm going to slap you so hard. Do you think you're getting to share dog walkers with me anymore, Alex?
You know it's gonna happen.
Can I
One
just,
beer and we'll
I
make
got,
up.
folks? I got two things while Paul does that. One, just to put it in perspective, Theo Baird was a bench warmer, couldn't get minutes in Vancouver, went over to Scotland and was like Motherwell's best player, scored like 10 goals this year. It's crazy.
He's doing okay.
And then the other side of the coin, the first time Paul and I did hot takes together, we bonded because Mick Beal was at Rangers, and I fucking hate Mick Beal, and Paul hates Rangers, so he hates Mick Beal. It was a beautiful moment.
Connection was
And
very
also
natural.
to counteract your comment about Baird at Motherwell, Chris Mueller was a complete flop at Hibs, and he was balling out before his injury here.
And Gutman.
Yeah,
And good, well,
I feel like I
it was
established
Visa
earlier, Chris
pictures,
Mueller's
it was
bad.
Visa. Yeah. But, right, I'm going through their squad, and it's filling me with rage. I hate them all. They're all
So
disgusted.
while he's doing that,
awful
Matt, you
looking.
wanted to say something? We'll,
Yeah, just-
we'll
just
come,
pick
we'll
one.
come back. We'll give you a
Pick one.
second, Paul, to like think about
I picked one, no.
which
Picked one.
devil you'd like the most.
Send him
Yeah.
down a
I
rabbit
have
hole.
nothing. I have nothing important to contribute to this conversation. While we wait for Paul, I just wanted to formally say from the bottom of my heart, and it's been mentioned in chat a few times, but I know a lot of you listening to this on Spotify and Apple can't see our faces right now. But I just wanted to say, Alex, your beard is looking incredible.
He's gone.
Like
It's out
that
of
is
control.
literally- No, it looks great. I had to put that out there. Let all the viewers know why we gave Paul a minute. But hopefully Paul has his answer now. Shout out your beard, dude.
It's a long-term
Alright.
strategy to double the length.
W's in chat. W's in chat for a good facial hair.
All right, Paul. Name the
Normalize
player.
beard braids in corporate America.
Damn right. Go Hoosiers.
There's actually nobody in that Ranger squad that I would take that wouldn't fill me with rage. And the only one that wouldn't fill me with rage is the position that we don't need. And it's
The
Jack
goalkeeper.
Butland. Jack Butland, the goalkeeper.
Can I get L's in the chat, guys? He's lying.
W.
L's in the chat.
Go Stoke.
I'm
I
gonna
love
hop
Stoke,
out.
baby.
Kick me out. That was all I have.
Thanks, Alex. We appreciate you
Brother.
being here, dude.
See you guys
Love
at the
you.
next game.
Love you.
I'll actually be there.
Hell yeah.
Love you guys.
Thank you for joining, Alex. Guys, please throw your hands up. Otherwise, I'm just gonna start yelling at everybody again.
No, but
Tim, yeah,
so
I was gonna
going
say,
back
go
to you
ahead.
yelling, which by the way, anyone that wants to put their hands up, do that. But I think that one, Paul, like I don't know why your anti-Mauri agenda says that we're not playing to his strengths because he can close down distances in the midfield. He can play balls to like wingers and like he can like play good long balls quickly, which is something that like frankly is one of the things that we really needed in like for a long time. So I don't know what skill you're looking for in a six that you think that Mauri doesn't possess.
I just don't like him now, okay?
All right.
Well
Dude,
done.
this is why I love hot takes. This is why I love hot takes. Because Tim will go on for about 2 minutes stating fact. Paul goes, I just don't like him, and it works.
Paul
And
is
it works.
Paul
As the
is
show
Paul
is
is
going.
Tim is advanced statistics. Paul is that boy nice. Like
Yeah.
Tim, I don't know how like religious of a hot takes listener you are, but this all started because weeks ago I said he should. If you've ever played Football Manager, it's the libero role. It's like you float between midfield and defense based on like what phase of possession you're in. And the whole point is if we have both of our fullbacks getting forward, we can drop him back into that back line to fill a back three to play in transition. Like that's why it works, right?
and he's comfortable about it. And like,
yeah, and he's good
he's
at
been
both.
asked about
or
playing
he's
that role,
Fine at both.
and he says he's comfortable doing that. So yeah.
Just to that end, that's the frustration of like, yes, from a high level perspective, the roster construction is bad. Like, we are committing money in places we shouldn't be committing it, and we are not building it out properly.
So like that's what I mean by roster, because I think that it's a definition. Listen, when we've been arguing about this, it's the roster construction is bad because we're spending money on players that are not earning their keep for like the amount of money that we're spending on them. Because like Mauri is a cheap player, he has a very like low salary cap hit, and he's better than some players that are earning a lot more than him.
All right.
So like that's what I mean by bad.
If I'm gonna be, I'm already mad tonight, so I'm just gonna say it, Logan. If I have to hear you talk about Jonathan Dean's left foot one more fucking time, I swear to God.
Suke's better. Suke's better. Suke's better.
Suke is like objectively not better. I'm sorry.
Is not.
Can we agree that Aragoni is better than both though?
Yeah,
and can we agree that Andrew Gutman is better than Aragoni?
talk about signing of the season. Andrew
Yes,
Gutman
but
is
also
flatly
Alan
not.
Aragoni's a cheaper signing. So like, believe it or not,
don't want to hear it.
Wait, can I pause?
Matt, I just want to tell you something about the way that just like soccer works as a sport.
I'll leave the call.
There's a right back on one end of the pitch and a left back on the other end. So
Yeah,
one
and
of
it's
each.
incredible to know that our starting left back is better than our starting right back.
Is he? Like,
yes.
He's played played like 70 minutes all year, and 4 of them
He
was
is, but he's earning
unimpactful.
3 times as much. And the reason that he's earning 3 times as much is because we're spending $600K to keep Arnaud Suke on the bench, which is an insane amount of money for a right back that is not starting caliber. in MLS.
Suke out. I've been saying it for years.
Eray, Suke would be gone if literally anybody would pay a fee for him. That's what I need you to understand.
Well, whose fault is that?
Not mine. Don't yell at me, Jesus.
I'm not yelling at you.
Yeah, why are you yelling, bro? God,
remember
Eray, what are you?
love you.
Do you guys not remember
All
when he
caps.
cooked twice in Bridgeview last year? Oh my God!
Colin, pull up the tweet. Pull up the tweet. Pull up the.
You're just
Suke
jealous you
rescue.
don't make that much money to be that mid.
I am actually jealous.
DJ
You make
Steph
less
Steph,
money
by the way,
to be
said
that mid.
we should need to fight each other a slap match, which
Yeah,
let's do it.
that is one thing we're working on, or we've talked about, Matt and I at least, of trying to find a way that we can get everybody in the same room to actually film these, because I think some actual fights would break
for
out.
Charity.
I
I think you all
should
look
come
shocked by the
to-
size of my hand.
I think you guys should all come up to Cudahy, Wisconsin here, and
Yeah, or not. How about that?
Alright,
Where slapping is legal.
we need
You can slap
we
anybody. You can slap your wife
we
in
need a neutral
Wisconsin
zone.
and it's fine.
John, do we have any other takes to go over? That's kind of we've gone on the biggest
So
tangent.
the problem is the ones we got off the form this week, and I'll say a quick thank you to Marshy, Paul, Peter. We had a listener who asked to keep their name off, and Edgardo, who all submitted takes this week. Actually, Edgardo does have a good one, so I'll get to his in a sec. They were all stuff that we've already talked about, so it would have been kind of rehashing what they had brought up. But it was questions.
Oh,
about,
we love rehashing old feuds, John. We love.
Oh, hell yeah.
It was all about Frank. It was mostly about Frank, and there was one about Gutman, but yeah. So basically, Marshy says that Gutman is overhyped and is nowhere capable of bringing the club back into decent form. And I do wonder who was looking at this team thinking like, God, all we need is a left back.
Matt was.
What did Matt just do with his chair? Matt just put his chair on a table or desk behind him. I don't know.
Yeah, what
And
the
he's
fuck
pointing
is
at it.
over there?
Wait, who said that? Who said that, John?
Marshy.
That is an
Who's,
L.
who's Marshy? Can you do some like reverse engineering to get me this person's email or something? They need to be banned from every resource possible. That's crazy.
Marshy,
dude.
if you're in here, please raise your hand.
All right, can I give a pro Marshy take for a second here?
No.
I mean,
No.
like they're not wrong. Like Andrew Gutman is not going to save this team.
And Andrew Gutman is the best left back this team has had in a very long time. And he's clearly a different caliber of player than we've had, and he's done things that we have not seen on the ball. What we saw last match was an Andrew Gutman versus Brooks Lennon sort of like matchup, like on opposite sides. I think Brooks Lennon clearly was in a different category of player than Gutman. Now, Gutman is good, Lennon was better, and like that's the time that happens. Like,
Real
so
quick. Oh, go Tim. Sorry.
nope. Go ahead.
I had to say something on what's going on in this chat right now. Colin is certifiably cooking, and then Tim, I'm gonna bounce it right back to you. July 1st, 2023. At Eray Durson. Suke is a fucking imbecile. There goes any slim chance we had, period. Hashtag CF97. August 4th, 2023. Suke will save the day! Exclamation point.
Ooh.
Hashtag CF97.
Tim-
That is all.
Tim,
That
Colin's
please,
got the
was
response.
sarcasm, dude. Look at the result on August 4th.
No,
Tim,
no.
Tim, please work this into
I am
your...
willing to bet. I am willing to bet anything, knowing Eray as I do, that the first tweet was a second half Eray tweet, and where he says that he's an imbecile, and the second tweet was a first half tweet because that's just the way that Eray's games go.
No,
we were
no,
down
no.
like 4-0, and they brought Suke on in like the 70th minute or something like that. It was-
Yeah, that's
Right.
exactly what happened.
But okay, Tim,
Right,
Tim, to
right.
what you were saying before, because we're not talking about Suke anymore. Wallowberry did chime in the chat and said that Gutman is a weak on-ball defender. So feel free to incorporate that into whatever the rest of you are saying, or Matt, if you want to respond to it, because we all know you're
Nah,
glazing.
I don't
tonight.
have anything. I don't have anything to say to that. That's ridiculous comment. That's disappointing to hear.
There was one point in the game on
Adam
Saturday
Shad.
when the ball came across the box. He stuck his foot out, he got it, and he advanced the ball like maybe 40, 50 yards and made the pass. It was like the most progressive we'd looked the whole game, and I was really excited by it. But to Tim's point as well, I rate Brooks Lennon so highly as a player. I think I was telling everyone within a 5-foot radius of me this weekend to just keep watching how good he is, and he was pretty fucking good this weekend, despite being a pretty unremarkable game. Yeah, Gutman is no Bruce Lennon, but for where this team is trying to go right now, he's still a young guy, youngish. I think he's just a good player, best player at left back in the squad, in my opinion, in my hot take.
Right?
My
No,
sexy
he's like
opinion.
that's. I like 100% agree. Like Andrew Gutman is one of the players that if you wanted to like, I forget there was some Renaissance dude, and I'm blanking on this guy, but like I think it may have actually been Michelangelo that said that making a statue is simple. You just like chip away the parts that like are not part of like the statue you're trying to make. If you do that with a roster, I think that Gutman is one of the pieces you don't have to chip away, because I think that there's MLS rosters right now with Andrew Gutman that like he could be part of a championship roster, like something that wins something. Are there better players like Brooks Lennon? Yes, but you know you don't always have to have the best player at every position, and he's a good player. He's from Chicago, like he loves the city. He will fight for the crest. Like that's all like a good benefit, but and I don't know what Matt is doing. He's doing like some calisthenic like saluting thing.
I'm saluting. I'm saluting my hero. Just kidding. He's not
Matt
my
is-
hero. He's my bull.
Matt is doing what I believe the kids call glazing.
I'm not glazing. I just
Matt
in
is
love, bro.
Matt is doing what the kids would say. Matt is doing tricks on it. Is that what it is?
I
Did
don't
we
even,
ever
dude.
find
You
out why
are-
Matt
you are
put
so
the chair behind him on the table? Did we ever find that out? Why Matt put a chair on the table behind him?
That's what the chair was. The
That's where that's.
Dude, you're
Is that,
saying things. You're tripping, huh?
So like there's like the Jewish wedding thing with the chair. Is this like related to that, Matt, or like?
Is that?
That's crazy,
Is
bro.
that-
That's
are you trying to marry
bro.
Gutman?
What you're talking. First off, he's talking about the horror. Yeah.
Hey.
Yes. Okay. Real quick, it's called the horror. I love that you made that metaphor. Unfortunately, it was not related to the horror. I'll allow it this time and this time only. But W's in chat for Tim. What a guy. What a great guy. Father of the group. Honestly, love that man. Not as much as Gutman though. Don't get your heads twisted, people. Okay. John.
No, but Gutman's also a great guy. And so like midweek press conference, I asked him who's going to be there for like his like Fire first team home debut, and he was like like my wife, like or like my girlfriend, his like her like family, like my siblings, like some of their like. We asked him about it, and he's like, "We're gonna get like the Gutman clan will be like 100 strong for some games," and I thought that was an exaggeration. after the match, talked to him about it. He was serious about that. He's like, "Oh, it was only 25 people. We'll get over 100 a couple matches." Dude is bringing 100 people to Fire games.
I'm one of them. That's all I'm saying.
Again, doing tricks on it. We're gonna welcome our good friend Radio Maverick 24.
Not a thing. That's not a saying. That's not a saying.
It is. You're doing tricks on it. Anyway, Radio Maverick. I just added him in here. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you for joining.
Oh, that's a lot closer than I thought it would be. Hey guys, how you doing?
Wonderful.
Good
Thanks
man.
for being
What's
here.
up?
Cool. Man.
Hello,
So,
Mr. Maverick.
hey. I think at this point, as a Chicago Fire fan, I'm just like, do something that's gonna make me excited. So I'm gonna go way out of the limb and say, get rid of our sporting director, get rid of our coach, bring in Jose Mourinho, and give him the reins for everything, and say, make a roster and let's go.
W.
I don't
That's
even
it.
think that's
That's
a
it.
win.
That's not
Like-
even hot. Like, yeah, that's just
That's
like
not
a
even hot.
correct
No, that's a bold
opinion.
take, yeah.
That's just
I
what
mean-
right.
I mean-
Yeah.
Like,
Several people are typing. Let's see what the chat thinks.
and I'm not even saying that to be like,
says-
oh, way to give a bad. Like, no, that's just the objectively correct thing to do. And I guess being in this fan base makes it hot. Like, it's like nobody actually
Logan-
wants that.
Logan said Jose Mourinho would get us relegated as a GM.
I mean, it's fair. He probably would. Knowing his reputation, he probably would. I think at this point, like, I'm tired of the Fire finding. I think it was somebody. I think it was actually. I was talking in the Cubs chat today, and somebody was bringing up a player that they should bring up, whatever. And it's just like, who is that? Like, that's my issue. Like, be the Chicago Bears, go out, get the big name, and just give them the reins.
Can I just
Be like,
How's
I
that
offer-
work for the Chicago Bears?
It's working right now. Can I just one thing, just one rebuttal I want to add to that. World soccer is so different from all other sports in that respect. So like,
Yes.
if you guys follow me on Twitter, you know I'm a big QPR fan. If you don't know anything about QPR, they were odds-on favorite to be relegated. They ended up surviving in the championship, right? In the winter transfer window, they spent $0, brought in 6 players nobody had ever heard of, and like 4 of them ended up being the signings of the year. Like, it was insane. And to that end, like, how often do we see players come into MLS and you're like, who the fuck is that? Like, who the fuck knew who Alan Aragoni was 6 months ago? Maybe Tim? Maybe? Like, you know, you did not know who Alan Aragoni was 6 months
I
ago.
loved him since he was a kid in the academy.
But to that end, like, I don't disagree with you, like, especially on the Jose take, right? Like, that I think is that Klopp, like, anybody who's out there that you can just go throw money at and say, run our organization, like, I don't disagree with you. But to the effect of players, it's like, just go find the best players available. I don't care where the fuck you get them from. I just want them to be good, and I want them to fit the system that the coach has.
yeah, I think my thought process with that is we have an owner who's willing to spend the money, right? I think that's we probably could all agree on that. The problem is that we don't actually have people in the organization that know how to find players that fit a system. So, I mean, yeah, you're correct. It's Jose, it's Klopp, it's whoever. It's somebody who's used to world soccer that could get the Fire out of phase 1 finally.
W.
That's that.
Because we've been
I
stuck
agree
there
with
for
that
so freaking
wholeheartedly.
long.
Yeah.
I agree.
You know?
I think as well as the team have put so much money into these new facilities for training as well, we need to have coaches who have worked at an elite level with facilities at this level to get the best out of the players instead of having guys around the team who are using it all for the first time.
Yeah, and I think you also need a coach if you're gonna try and start attracting talent. Like, I mean, you look at someone like David Beckham. It's his reason why Messi is at Inter Miami. It's not because Inter Miami was this great organization that was doing world things. It was just like, no, you had the connection. We need somebody that has the connection and not to the Swiss league.
Yeah. Or I think maybe even to your point, like, we got to pick one route. You either need to pick somebody who can build and develop a really good system with a smart coach who uses his players and his money properly, or just go get somebody to sign the biggest fucking players and just by default be good. Matt, what are you raising your hand? You could just talk, man.
Is Jurgen Klopp retiring or is he just leaving Liverpool?
I think
He's taking a
He
year
said
off.
that he needs a break. He said that he needs a break. But
Hey,
I
Jesse
mean, having
Marsh
said that,
said that too. Jesse Marsh said that too.
Jesse
That's all
Marsh
I'm
didn't
saying.
get another job. I think that's the difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Listen
mean,
up. That's all I'm saying.
Jesse Marsh has been obviously shopping for a job for the past like 2-3 months.
Yeah, but he won't take our money.
$15
Radio
million,
Maverrick,
I'll take that.
I think Fire fans
Would
should
he
be fine with that.
want to take our money? We are
Right.
so
Stop talking.
bad.
You're done.
Yeah.
No.
Radio Maverick.
So I think
please
that this
chime
no
in
no,
once
but like
more.
this does bring up a legitimate question. I think
It does. Thank you, Tim.
which is that
Go ahead.
when you look at the coaches that have been hired under Heights, and like I'm not like anti Heights as a person, like I don't, but he's always hired managers that don't really have a really big resume, right? Like imagine like Jose Mourinho was hired by York Heights. He would start saying, these are the players I need in the roster, and this is the kind of guy I need. You get me this guy. And if that didn't happen, like the media would hear about it. Like you would hear about it. Like we would all hear about it. That's not the kind of guy that York Heights has wanted to hire so far. So in terms of like where are you placing the blame, like the buck sort of does stop with him there. And like I don't know how to solve that, because it just seems like despite all evidence to the contrary, Heights seems to be Joe Mansueto's guy.
Don't disagree there. Radio Maverick 24, my good friend. Any final thoughts for you?
I mean, the one thing that kind of came across my mind is like a random thought was you talk about Klopp leaving Liverpool, and now it seems like Salah is on the outs for whatever reason.
And has a Heights connection.
Heights connection.
Heights connection.
Guys, you're wrong Northern African International,
Holy
all
crap.
right?
We're gonna win the league. We're gonna win the league.
That is
Oh
the
my
wrong
God.
North African International, okay?
We'd make Salah bad. Hot take.
We would.
I mean, why not? Just go take a run at it.
Did you guys see Matt?
We're winning the league. Oh my God, Mohamed Salah, the Chicago Fire. Everyone spam that on Twitter right now. Go.
No.
So-
It was the
Good.
obvious connection before when it's like, all right, so you brought us Shaqiri. That's great. Like, thank you for bringing us the appetizer. Now bring in the main course.
All right.
Go get Salah.
Radio Maverick, thank you for coming on, brother. We appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
that.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for being here, dude.
Thanks, Radio. Appreciate you.
All right, wonderful guys. Thank you so much for joining us today. Unfortunately, some corrupted data means that instead of hearing Matt's wonderful outro, you get to hear me after the fact at my desk, kind of spitting the same facts. So once again, thank you for joining us. Thank you to everybody who called in, listened, and joined the conversation on this month's Hot Takes Live. Quick reminder: tape show will be out the second Thursday of every month. Hot Takes Live will be the last Tuesday of every month. We're looking forward to hopefully transitioning over to YouTube sometime very soon, make the pod a little more accessible to everybody. Also, please make sure to follow our hosts. You can follow Matt at mshaves on Twitter. Paul is ctpaul90 on Twitter. Wonderful Tim, who joined as a guest today, at sing_electric. And of course, Eray at Eray Durson. And then I'm also West 3 times, and all the E's are 3s. That's why Matt likes to call me quadruple 4 now, I guess. But please tap in on Twitter as well. You can follow Men in Red 97 or MIR 97 Pods. Yeah, and once again, thank you so much for being here. Thank you to everybody who joined. Please keep an eye out for the next episodes coming out soon. Hopefully we see y'all on Saturday for Chicago Fire win. And yeah, come on, you Men in Red.